years we all will be together if the fates allow. Hang a shining star upon the highest bough, a shining star upon the highest, and have yourself a merry little Christmas. 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 Last Christmas I gave you my heart, but the very next day you gave it away. This year, to save me from tears, I give it to someone special. I give it to someone once bitten and twice shy. I keep my distance, but you still catch my eyes. Tell me, baby, do you recognize me? Well, it's been a year, it doesn't surprise me. Merry Christmas, I wrapped it up and sent it with a...
Good morning, everyone. It is now 6 a.m. in Belgium. Good morning, everyone. It is now 6 a.m. in Belgium. Good morning, everyone. It is now 6 a.m. in Belgium. Good morning, everyone. Alright, I just muted my own sound output so I don't hear myself. So once again, welcome. I just logged on my computer and turned everything on. Let's see about Advent of Code's first puzzle of 2019. Day 1. The Tyranny of the Rocket Equation. Santa has become stranded at the edge of the solar system while delivering presents to other planets. To accurately calculate his position in space, safely align his warp device and return to Earth in time to save Christmas, he needs you to bring him measurements from 50 stars. That's similar to the introduction of last year. Collect stars by solving puzzles. 2 puzzles will be made available on each day in the Advent calendar. The second puzzle is unlocked when you complete the first. Each puzzle grants 1 star. Good luck! The elves quickly load you into a spacecraft and prepare to launch. At the first go, no-go poll, every elf is go until the fuel counter upper. They haven't determined the amount of fuel required yet. Let me read that again, I didn't get it. At the first go, no-go poll, so they poll every time whether to go or not. Every elf is go until the fuel counter upper. Makes no sense. Okay. Fuel required to launch a given module is based on its mass. So we need fuel for each module based on its mass, okay? Specifically, to find the fuel required for a module, take its mass, divide by 3, round down and subtract 3. Okay. For example, for a mass of 12, divide by 3 and round down to get 4, then subtract 2 to get 2. So I'm just taking a quick note here. We have mass divided by 3 and we need to round it down. I'm using, okay, I'll just write down 4 and then subtract 2. That's the fuel required. Okay. I guess the rest is clear. The fuel counter upper needs to know the total fuel requirement. Yeah. To find it, individually calculate the fuel needed for the mass of each module. Okay, so we're going to apply this formula to all the input and sum it up. It's similar to the first exercise of last year, just adding up a bunch of numbers. So I open my puzzle input and I save it. It will end up here in my day 1 directory. And we're going to read it. So these are the modules. Or this should be open. First 10 minutes of the day. I'm going to normalize it right here instead of in my sum function. So let me just run that. And we see we parsed it correctly. Now we're going to apply the formula. Now there's no floor function in Python, but there is actually if you import it. And then just apply the fuel required each module. Yeah. And we need to print it. There we go. And let's see if it is correct. That's the right answer. Let's go to part 2. During the second no-go poll, the elf in charge of the rocket equation double checker stops the launch sequence. So there's a second stage. Apparently you forgot to include additional fuel for the fuel you just added. Oh no. Fuel itself requires fuel just like a module. Take its mass, divide by 3, round down and subtract 2. However, yeah, of course you're gonna keep doing that forever. Any mass that would require negative fuel should instead be treated as if it requires 0 fuel. So we're going to keep going on, I guess, until we will add 0 fuel. Any mass that would require negative fuel, okay. The remaining mass, if any, is instead handled by wishing really hard, which has no mass and is outside the scope of this calculation. Okay. I guess I'm just gonna go by gut feeling and recalculate this fuel mass. I'm going to recalculate it until we get a marginal fuel mass of less than 1. Actually, I guess you can do a do while loop in Python. Sorry for that, I'm not using Python very often. Why there's no do while loop in Python? Okay, that would be very useful right now. I think what we need to do actually. I'm going to turn down the music a little bit. Okay. When I get stuck, I will make a habit of going to the whiteboard, which is not broadcasting right now. I guess you can see this. So we have the mass of each module is different for each of them, and we need to sum it up to get the total mass. And then this will be a new mass that will be added onto the list, and we need to sum that up again. So we need to keep a total sum like this. Yeah, I think my whiteboard just disappeared for a moment. So we need to keep a total sum and the sum of total so far and the increment. Okay, I'm going to implement that right away. So the increment is going to be the additional fuel, and the total fuel is called total fuel, and the last total fuel, we'll keep it in a separate variable. I guess you don't need those two. And so then we still need to add also I'm first going to break. I'm not very sure what I'm doing right now. And we still get the same answer. Let's read the example. Probably they pretty much give away the algorithm. Module 14 requires 2 fuel. This fuel requires no further fuel, as 2 divided by 3 rounded down is 0, which would just call for a negative fuel. So the total fuel required is still just 2. I think I'm probably making it too hard. I think this is going to be the way I am gonna do it. Okay, like this. Okay, this doesn't work. The additional fuel. This is called modules fuel. I'm going to start with all the fuel from the modules. And then I'm going to calculate an additional amount. Maybe like this. Let's try. That's not the right answer. Make sure you're using the full input data. What we can also do is give an example. Use an example here. So if we start with a total, let's see, we start with modules of just no, the modules are not listed here. Are they? Yes. So let's say modules is 12. Then we're going to calculate the sum fuel required for each module. Just the extra fuel. We keep it in the total. And then we're going to keep calculating the fuel required for the additional fuel, adding it to the total. Unless it's less than 1, of course, I'm going to put right away. So first we had 4944796. And with this break, we have 1 higher. So I guess that was the error. It's also not the right answer. Okay, then I'm just going to really apply make some test cases. And then we get 2, that's correct. With 14, I'm gonna get 2 as well. With 1969, we're going to get 654. Oh. Oh, this is part 1. Oh. Total should be 966. So actually we're correct at this point. I think we should stop counting when we have 0 or equal. But I've already tried this answer for sure. So let's try another number. 5, 0, 3, 4, 6. Looks very much correct. I think I'm going to get blocked for some time now. It doesn't work. Not correct, is it? What is the sum of the fuel requirements for all of the modules on your spacecraft? I'm also taking into account the mass of the added fuel. Calculate the fuel requirements for each module separately and then add them all up in the end. Okay. Okay, so what I did before is calculate the mass for all the fuel for all modules together first and then calculate the increments. Apparently that's not correct. So that means we're just going to calculate the base fuel. And then we're going to return the base fuel plus the additional fuel required, which is calculated by calculating again the module fuel required. Excuse my bad naming here. need to make a check if the additional fuel. No. Let's see. From which mass don't we need to add any more fuel? So here I had a nice loop that was quite easy to understand. But here it becomes a bit different. You cannot just do this forever and ever. I'm gonna have my first sip of coffee here. Oh, hey, good morning. I haven't noticed that some people joined the chat. Part 1 was pretty easy. I suppose that part 2 is also pretty easy, but it's the first, let's see, 20 minutes of my day, so it's not going very fast. Thanks for joining, both of you. Chris Forens and Eric Wassel. Hey, Eric Wassel. Hi. Cool, man. Let's see. Like I need to clean up here a little bit. So I need a stop condition for this recursive function. Although I previously made it without a recursive function and that worked quite well, so why am I making it so hard on myself? Let's do it again in a loop. So we get the mass. I completely messed up everything because I was refactoring. Let's revert. At this point I know I had some output, so this. So the total fuel for now is this. Okay. And then we're going to sum up this for all of them. Probably reusing a name, but I shouldn't. Okay. Let's see if this works at all. So for this example we gain 50,346. So this is correct for the test case. Now for the total sum. Oh no, I'm getting the same number again. No, it's different. It's 4,000 less. No, it's just a different number. Okay, let's try it. That's correct. Yeah. Okay. I have no idea how slow that was compared to most people. I think pretty slow. Let's see and have a look at the leaderboard. So I guess this is the number of seconds that people took. Well, no, it's going the other way around. I guess it's the number of points that people get for that. So a bunch of people have solved it already. The 100 users with the highest total score. Yeah, so I'm not going to be on that list. Alright. Hey TV Josh, good morning. Or good midnight if you're from the US. I just solved day 1. Don't know what I'm gonna do now, it's finished already. Was not very hard, but what I do notice is it's very hard to do this at 6 a.m. So we'll see if I will continue day 2 tomorrow at 6 a.m. again. Perhaps, perhaps not. Not quite midnight, so you also woke up early then, I guess. Unless you're somewhere in Asia, perhaps. Yeah, or more in the east of Europe. Yeah, I did get both parts. So the first part of the puzzle is... so there's a spaceship or some kind of rocket ship, and each module needs fuel. 9 p.m. Okay, then my guess is you might be in Russia, or I guess around that area of the globe, or more southern. Yeah, so for each part of the spaceship you need to calculate how much fuel you need, but the additional fuel also requires fuel. And so it's a bit of a loop that you need to do. Oh yeah, that's the second part, and the first part is without taking into account the extra fuel needed for... Oh. TV Josh. Sorry, I completely get wrong the time zones. You're right. Huh? 9 p.m. Oh. Let's see. Time in the world. Map. So here we are in Belgium. 6:27. 9 p.m. in the evening. Yeah, I see. You haven't reached midnight yet. Very confusing, those time zones. Yeah, I wondered too. Maybe the Mac has something built into it. Yeah, it does. But at the moment I don't have an easy way to share other windows with you. I only share my coding tools. Let's see. I can show. There you see it. The date and time configurator. But I don't dare to click it, I don't want to mess up my time. Hello from today. from tomorrow. Time for a coffee. So TV Josh, did you solve the puzzle yet? Or are you just watching? Ah, I heard Scala people are always very fast. Cool. Oh yeah, thinking about sharing code, I'm going to push my code. I have a repository. Not sure if I can access it from here. Advent of Code 2019. Do you have a repository, TV Josh? It sucks? In what way? If you want, I can show your code on the screen and we can have a look. But if you don't like to share it, it's also fine. You can post a gist of it, for example. Cool. I bet your solution is like 3 lines or something. No pressure on you though. Cool, thanks. Yeah, wow, it's very short, as I thought it might be the case in Scala. Okay. So I have never read Scala before, so I'm gonna give it a try. You have some object. Interesting, I guess that's a sort of main class. You're reading... Yeah, you're right, I probably can make my Python shorter. It's probably has a lot of unrequired, like unnecessary variables. Okay, so you're reading the file lines into a list, then you're going to print the, you're applying the formula to each line and printing it. That's basically the assignment 1. And you're calculating the fuel cost for a certain number, returning a number, and you're recalculating the mass, the required fuel, and then unless you have 1 or higher, you're going to return what you calculated plus an additional fuel cost for that other one. Yeah, that makes sense. Right. I got confused by the stopping condition of my recursive function. So let me retry and write it. I'm not going to... Well, you know, I'm actually just gonna copy your code into Python. So the base fuel that I need is basically the floor of mass divided by 3. Well, you know what? I have a function for that, so... Thanks, Plastic Games. I'll have a look at your solution in a minute. Base fuel is base fuel required, and then... Yeah, so this is the part where I got confused. Can you really just say if the base fuel required is less than 1, you're going to return the base fuel? because I felt like you're going to apply this function onto the mass, and you're going to first divide the mass by 3 and then subtract 1. So the point at which you stop should be higher than 1, no? Something that I was confused about. Otherwise, we're going to return the base fuel plus yeah, okay, my function names now don't make a lot of sense anymore. Or maybe they do. Like this. Always afraid with recursive functions that they're going to crash my computer. The total fuel would be then basically the same as before. Let me first apply it to a single example. Change 1. Let's try this one. Place next out of range. What? Oh, oops. I'm getting a wrong result. This one should result in 50,000 something. But I get less. Why is that? So let's try 14. 14 returns 0. It's definitely a wrong. Maybe debugging can help. So we start with a mass of 14. I messed up the recursive call. Okay, see if I can find this. Base fuel and base fuel required for base fuel. So the base fuel is 2, as they say here, so it's correct. And then I should return 2 here. But I'm returning 0. TV Josh says that Plastic Games has a nice solution. Now I'm curious. So I'm going to be here a bit silly and run it again. Base fuel required can be more than it can be less than 0 and basically subtract. So let me see. I'm going to extract this. Just going to do it like this. Now we get 2. You didn't do a oh god! I didn't do a recursive call. God. That's true. I was wondering why my editor didn't show me a recursive symbol. But I still need to fix that problem that I thought of before. And after I manage to get this right, I want to see how TV Josh did it in Scala and if I can find all the parts of my code in his code. Yeah, now we get the right answer. And then with the full input. So this was actually the correct answer for part 2. And now we get the same number. Yeah. Okay, so now we have a recursive version of it. I guess this one is not needed because if you calculate extra required fuel for some base mass of less than 1, you would get 0 anyway. Then you would return 0 pretty much. So I guess I'm just avoiding an extra recursion. Okay, now let's compare. So if next is less than 1, yeah, so DV Josh is exiting the recursion when the outcome of next is less than 1. But I'm still confused. It looks like I have this here, which in Scala looks like this part. But if I don't add this part, I'm going to have add negative numbers, I think. Yeah, I get a different outcome. But if I don't do this, then it's gonna work? Really? No, I get an infinite loop. Wait, I'm missing one part. I need wait, get rid of lines 18 and 19. The difference is that Scala returns 0, whereas you return the base. Ah, right. Yeah, I see. Like this. Yeah, right. Sorry for the mess. Yeah, now we get the same output. Right? Cool. Okay, I'm going to have a look at plastic games. Rather, plastic games solution. Oh, this looks very cool with code highlighting in the same Darkula, or what is it, team that I have. Snip. Hold on a second. This is JavaScript. Okay, cool. Snip. Oh yeah, those backticks. That's this new stuff. Plastic games. Can you explain what the backtick snip mean in your code? Ah, you just paste it right there, so you can have new lines in your string. Ah, that's interesting. Why not? You calculate the fuel by doing this simple function, and you're checking for... You're making sure that all numbers are at least 0. And then you're... you have some kind of recursive flag, is that true? And if you're doing a recursion and your previous fuel result was more than 0, you're calling the function again, passing on the recursive flag, and otherwise you're adding 0. Yeah. I see. Wow, that's very short. It's even shorter than the Scala one. I'm quite surprised. And whoa, you're doing a reducer. You're reducing... Oh, that's just to make a sum? Is that because JavaScript doesn't have a sum function? Yeah. Curious if that's the reason why you use the reducer to just sum it up. Yeah. Yeah. Reduce is the same as fold left in... well, conceptually they are the same, I think. You have an accumulator and you apply... You change the accumulator until you have no more input. Yeah, I just find it very hard to read. It's just that when you know that reduce with plus on the accumulator is the same as summing, then it's alright. But otherwise, for a person who has never done functional programming, this would be like, what? Yeah. Interesting. Any other solutions out there? Urban Gain, did you solve the puzzle for today? Of course, I hope you got a good speed. Did you end up in the top 100 plastic games?
Candles gleaming inside painted candy caves on the trees. Santa's on his way, he's filled his sleigh with things
Oh, hey, Artemis lol. Rank 31. Good job. Artemis lol, if you want to share your solution, yeah, just paste it on some pasting site. Holy crap, that's short. But I see there's no input parsing there. So now the challenge is of course to figure out what language this is. I have no idea. I see some pipes and this looks like a comprehension, mathematical notation. It's Ruby. Oh. And it might read from standard in. That's smart also. It saves you a bunch of lines. But then you have to run your code in a specific way, of course. You have to prepare for that. P is print. Is P a shorthand for print, or did you make that a utility function? Let's see if I can make a Ruby file and get some highlighting. Base Ruby method. Nice. Here, a bit of formatting. Not sure that it helps a lot. And wondering if I can actually run this. I'm working in PyCharm right now. So that means that I have no Ruby support, apparently. Can't even write a Ruby file. But maybe I can. Days lol.rb. Yeah, okay. It tells me. It's very funny, this PyCharm. It has support for Ruby syntax highlighting in the Scratch files, but not when you make an actual Ruby file. Okay. Let's see where this file is located. Copy path. So I can run it using Ruby, then the name of the file, and then type the input into it. So you are using a left angle, the left angle to input the code. Like scratch.ruby, and then Yeah, works. Now I'm just brushing up my bash skills here a bit. Is that the same as doing this? Yes, it's the same. Right. I knew that actually, yeah. I know that because... No. Did I know that? No, probably not. I never use this syntax. Okay, so let's try to figure out how this works. So f is a function and it will be applied to all the inputs. And this reads from standard in. So we're going to sum all the inputs, but not just sum it up, we're going to pass lambda into it. Oh no, hold on. So we're going to do a sum, and for each item we're going to first apply this method f. We convert the input into an integer, apply the method f, and then iterate over all of them and sum it. So apparently in Ruby you can pass an extra argument to the sum function to transform your list input before summing. If I get that wrong, please let me know, Artemis lol. Yeah, cool. And the function we're going to apply is... I'm confused by this arrow straight after the equals sign. We have here a semicolon within this sort of curly brace structure. Notation for a lambda. But so f is the name of the function. Now what's the name of the first parameter? Takes m and runs it. Okay, so how I would write it is probably like this, but in Ruby you write it like this. Yeah. Okay, so we can define variables inline. That's handy. In some functional languages it's not that simple to do. So n is the mass divided by 3 minus 2, and then, so actually we're just dealing here with several lines. I'm just going to rewrite that for my silly imperative brain to be able to comprehend. Then if the calculated fuel is less than 0, we're going to return 0. It's similar to the Scala code made by TV Josh. And otherwise we're going to return calculated fuel, and we recalculate it for that amount of mass also. Artemis says, I wrote it in multiple lines originally, but I just golfed it up a bit to confuse you, lol. Yeah, well, it makes it into a two-liner, that's very nice. And it almost makes it look like Haskell in some way. Yeah, cool. You don't need a lot of code, but you do need a lot of concepts. You see that. For those who are not familiar with functional programming or programming in general, all the steps that I took and that TV Josh took in his code are in here. It's just very compact. So just the fact that it's not a lot of lines or a lot of characters doesn't mean that it's simple. It can be very complex. Not to say that this assignment was very complex, but there is a recursion in it, and I think for the first day that's not that easy. A lot of people don't like recursion. I didn't like recursion for many years. I always avoided it until I took a Haskell course for half a year and learned about stop conditions and stuff. Yeah, thanks for joining, Artemis. It was nice that you were here and sharing your code. Have a good night. It's getting a bit quiet in the chat also, so I guess I'm going to sign out and see what other people did. See if my colleagues woke up. I don't think they did. Most likely they didn't. And the leaderboard shows only me being online. Okay, hope you will enjoy the rest of Advent of Code. You're welcome, Urban Gain. Thanks for joining. I think I enjoyed this very much. I'm going to come online tomorrow again at 6 a.m. Brussels time. Have fun and Merry Christmas.
Last Christmas I gave you my heart, but the very next day you gave it away. This year, to save me from tears, I'll give it to someone special. Last Christmas I gave you my heart, but the very next day you gave it away. This year, to save me from tears, I'll give it to someone special. Once bitten and twice shy, I keep my distance, but you still catch my eye. Tell me, baby, do you recognize me? Well, it's been a year, it doesn't surprise me. Merry Christmas, I wrapped it up and sent it with a note saying I love you, I meant it. Now I know what a fool I've been, but if you kissed me now, I know you'd fool me again. Last Christmas I gave you my heart, but the very next day you gave it away. This year, to save me from tears, I'll give it to someone special. A crowded room, friends with tired eyes. I'm hiding from you and you're so have I. My God, I thought you were someone to rely on. Me, I guess I was a shoulder to cry on. A face on a lover with a fire in his heart. A man undercover, but you tore me apart. Ooh, now I found a real love, you'll never fool me again. Last Christmas I gave you my heart, but the very next day you gave it away. This year, to save me from tears, I'll give it to someone special. Last Christmas I gave you my heart, but the very next day you gave it away. This year, to save me from tears, I'll give it to someone special.